It was a cool Saturday morning when the sun peeked through the clouds, spreading a warm glow across the quiet little town. The streets were still empty, except for a few people walking their dogs and a couple of cars passing by. In a small house at the corner of the street lived a young girl named Lily and her father. Their home wasn't big or fancy, but it was always filled with warmth, laughter, and the smell of her father's favorite coffee brewing in the morning. Lily was only 11, but she carried a heart much bigger than her age. She loved her father more than anything in the world. Ever since her mother had passed away when she was very young, it had just been the two of them, a father and daughter learning to navigate life together. He worked long hours at a small car repair shop, fixing engines and polishing metal until his hands turned rough and dark from grease. But no matter how tired he was, he always came home with a smile for his little girl. Lily admired her dad more than words could describe. To her, he was the strongest person alive. He could fix anything, a broken chair, a bicycle chain, even her old school backpack. But what she loved most was how he talked about cars. Whenever they walked past a car showroom, his eyes would light up like a child's. He would stop for a moment and look through the glass, especially when they passed the Tesla showroom. He'd point at the shiny electric cars and say, "That's the future right there, kiddo. No gas, no smoke, just clean, smart power." She didn't understand all of it, but she could see how his face changed when he spoke about those cars. His eyes sparkled and his voice carried excitement. Sometimes he would tell her stories about how cars had changed over time, how people once thought electric cars would never work, and now they were the most advanced machines on the road. Lily loved listening to him talk. It was like he carried a dream inside him, one he didn't speak of often, but she could feel it. She knew he wanted to own a Tesla one day, not because it was fancy or expensive, but because it represented everything he believed in: hard work, innovation, and a better future. As his birthday started to approach, Lily found herself thinking more and more about what she could give him. Every year he told her not to worry about gifts. "You're my gift every day," he'd always say with a laugh, kissing her forehead. But this year she wanted to do something different. She wanted to surprise him with something special, something that would make him feel as loved as he made her feel. The problem was, she didn't have much. She received a small allowance from her neighbor, whom she helped with gardening on weekends. Most of the time she used that money to buy small things like notebooks or snacks. But this time, she decided she would save every single coin until her father's birthday came. For weeks, she skipped buying her favorite treats at school. Instead of stopping at the little shop by the bus stop for ice cream, she went straight home, putting her coins carefully into a small jar she had labeled, "For Dad." Every night before going to bed, she'd shake the jar and listen to the coins clink inside. The sound made her smile. It reminded her of the dream she was chasing, a gift that would make her dad truly happy. One evening, as they were sitting on the porch, her father talked again about Teslas. He mentioned how someday, electric cars would be everywhere, and even small towns like theirs would have charging stations on every corner. His voice was full of hope. Lily looked up at him and said softly, "Do you think you'll ever get one?" He chuckled and ruffled her hair. "Maybe one day, but right now I'm happy just fixing old cars and keeping our little home running." That night Lily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about his words. He had done so much for her, worked long hours, sacrificed his own dreams, and yet he never complained. He never asked for anything. All she wanted was to see him smile in a way that said, "This is the best day of my life." The next morning, while getting ready for school, an idea came to her mind so suddenly that she stopped brushing her hair mid-stroke. What if she went to the Tesla showroom? She knew it was far, about an hour's bus ride away, but she had seen it before when they went downtown. Maybe, just maybe, she could find something there for him. She didn't plan to buy a car, of course. She knew that was impossible. But perhaps they had something small with the Tesla logo on it. A cap, a keychain, anything that could remind her father of the dream he loved so much. For the next few days, she planned everything carefully. She checked the bus schedule, counted her money again and again, and decided that on Saturday morning, while her father was at work, she would go. It was the only day she could make the trip without him noticing. She wanted it to be a complete surprise. Friday night felt endless. She packed her little bag, carefully placed her money inside, and wrote a note for herself that said, "For Dad's birthday." Before going to sleep, she whispered a small prayer, hoping she could find something meaningful. The next morning, the air was cool and crisp. She wore her favorite yellow sweater and tied her hair back into a ponytail. She looked in the mirror and gave herself a small nod as if to say, "You can do this." Then she quietly left the house, locking the door behind her. Her father had already left for work, so there was no one to stop her. The bus ride felt longer than usual. She sat by the window watching the world go by. The trees, the shops, the busy streets. Everything felt a little more exciting than before. She held her bag close to her chest, her small hands gripping it tightly. Her heart was racing, but she wasn't scared. She was determined. When the bus finally stopped near the Tesla showroom, she stepped off and looked up at the tall glass building in front of her. It looked like something out of a dream. Shiny cars lined up inside, spotless floors reflecting the ceiling lights, and a giant Tesla logo glowing above the entrance. She took a deep breath and walked inside. The moment she entered, everyone turned to look at her. She was the only child there, surrounded by adults in neat suits and polished shoes. The air smelled of new leather and metal. A salesman approached her with a polite smile and asked, "Hello there, how can I help you?" Lily swallowed hard and looked up at him. "Hi, sir," she said softly. "I want to buy a birthday gift for my dad. He really loves Teslas." The man seemed a little surprised but smiled again, bending down slightly so he could hear her better. "That's very sweet of you. What kind of gift are you thinking about?" She opened her small bag and carefully pulled out her folded bills and coins. "I don't have much money, but I really want to get him something from here. Maybe something with the Tesla sign on it?" The man blinked, taken aback. For a moment he didn't know what to say. The sight of this little girl standing there clutching her savings with so much sincerity touched him deeply. Other employees nearby had noticed too. They exchanged glances, their faces softening as they realized what was happening. He gently said, "Let me check what we have, okay? You wait right here." Lily nodded, smiling nervously. She looked around the showroom again, her eyes wide with wonder. Every car looked like a spaceship to her. She imagined her dad sitting behind the wheel, smiling proudly. While she waited, the staff gathered quietly near the counter, whispering among themselves. They couldn't stop thinking about how pure her intention was. None of them wanted her to leave empty-handed. So, they began to come up with an idea, one that would make this little girl's effort truly worth it. Lily, standing by the display car, didn't know what they were planning. She only knew that she was in the right place, the place where her father's dreams lived. Her small heart was full of hope, and even though her savings might not be enough to buy much, she believed that sometimes love could buy what money couldn't. And in that quiet showroom filled with gleaming cars and gentle whispers, something special was about to happen, something that neither Lily nor her father would ever forget. The man at the Tesla showroom came back after a few minutes, still smiling kindly. Behind him were two other employees who seemed just as curious and touched by the little girl standing there. He bent down again so that his voice was gentle and calm.
"Hey there," he said. "We actually have a few small things that might be perfect for your dad."
"Would you like to take a look?" Lily's eyes brightened instantly.
"Yes, please,"
she said, clutching her small bag tightly. He led her to a glass shelf where Tesla merchandise was displayed. Caps, mugs, keychains, small model cars, and even shirts with the company's logo. Everything looked so neat and shiny that she couldn't take her eyes off them. She had never been inside a place like this before. The salesman asked softly, "Do you know what your dad might like?" She thought for a moment and then pointed to a sleek black cap with the red Tesla logo on the front.
"He wears a cap every day when he works," she said.
"Maybe he'd like that one." The man checked the tag quietly. He knew that the cap cost far more than the few dollars she held in her hand, but he didn't want to disappoint her. "That's a very good choice," he said, still smiling. "Would you like to see anything else?" Lily looked around again, her eyes landing on a small metal keychain shaped like a Tesla car. "Maybe this too," she said softly. "It's small, but it looks really nice." He nodded. "You've got a good eye for gifts," he said warmly. "Let me check with my manager and I'll be right back." She waited by the display, her hands behind her back, her shoes tapping nervously on the shiny floor. She had no idea that behind the counter the employees were whispering again, but this time with purpose. The manager, an older woman with kind eyes, had heard the whole story. She smiled and said quietly, "Let's make her day." One of the employees suggested wrapping the gifts nicely, maybe adding a few more items like a mug and a sticker. Another said they should write something for her dad, a small message from Tesla itself. Within minutes, they had put together a small gift box with several items inside: the black cap, the keychain, a Tesla coffee mug, and a thank you card that read, "To a wonderful father who inspired such love. Thank you for raising someone so thoughtful. With warm regards from all of us at Tesla." When the man returned to Lily, he held the box behind his back. "Well," he said, "I spoke with my manager, and we decided something." Lily looked up, a little nervous. "Is it too expensive?" she asked quietly. He shook his head. "No," he said softly. "It's already paid for." Her eyebrows lifted in confusion. "Paid for? But I didn't—" He smiled and placed the box in her hands. "You've already paid for it in your own way," he said. "What you did today, coming here all by yourself to do something kind for your dad, that's worth more than money." Lily blinked, her small hands trembling as she held the box. "Really?" she whispered. "Really," the man said. "We just want you to promise us one thing, that you'll give it to your dad with the same love that brought you here today." She nodded quickly, her eyes filling with tears she tried hard to hide. "I promise," she said. The staff gathered near the counter, waving goodbye as she left. One of them slipped a small red envelope into the bag before she walked out. It had a Tesla logo sticker on it, but she didn't notice. She was too busy holding her box carefully, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. When she stepped outside, the wind brushed against her face and the sunlight hit her hair. She smiled the whole way to the bus stop, hugging the box to her chest. On the ride home, she imagined her father's face when he opened it, how surprised and happy he would be. She could already picture him wearing that cap at work, showing it off to his friends and maybe even hanging the keychain near his tools. She reached home before her father did, so she hid the box under her bed and sat quietly waiting for him to return. Every car that passed by made her jump a little. Finally, she heard the familiar sound of his old pickup stopping outside. He opened the door, tired as always but smiling when he saw her. "Hey kiddo," he said, setting his lunchbox on the counter. "How was your day?" "It was good," she said quickly, trying to sound casual. I did something today." He laughed softly. "Oh, should I be worried?" She giggled. "No, but you'll see." She ran to her room, grabbed the box, and held it behind her back. "Close your eyes, Dad." He sighed playfully. "You're up to something, aren't you?" "Just close them," she insisted, grinning from ear to ear. He obeyed, covering his eyes with his hands. She carefully placed the box on the table and said, "Okay, open them." When he did, his expression changed immediately. He looked from the box to her face and back again. "What's this?" he asked softly. "Your birthday gift," she said proudly. He frowned in surprise. "But my birthday isn't until next week." "I know," she said, "but I couldn't wait." He slowly opened the box, removing the items one by one. The black cap, the shiny keychain, the mug, and then the card. When he read it, his hands began to shake a little. He looked up at her, his eyes glistening. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice quiet. "The Tesla showroom," she said proudly. "I went there today. I wanted to get you something from the place you love so much. I didn't have a lot of money, but the people there were really nice. They helped me pick it out." Her father was speechless. He set the card down slowly and reached out to pull her into his arms. "You went all the way there by yourself?" She nodded. "I took the bus. I just wanted to do something special for you." He hugged her tighter, not saying a word for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and emotional. "You don't know how much this means to me, sweetheart. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." Lily smiled against his shoulder. "You always say that," she whispered. "Because it's true," he said. "And now you've gone and made me cry." They both laughed softly. He put on the cap immediately, turning his head in the mirror. "How do I look?" She grinned. "Like the coolest dad ever." He laughed again, wiping his eyes. "You really are something else, you know that?" That evening, they sat on the porch together, just like always. But this time, her father couldn't stop smiling. He kept adjusting the cap on his head, holding the mug in his hands and spinning the keychain between his fingers. He told her that it was the best birthday gift he had ever received. Later that night, when Lily went to bed, her father quietly opened the red envelope he had found tucked inside the box. Inside was a short handwritten note. "We were all moved by your daughter's kindness. She reminded us why we do what we do, to inspire hope, love, and dreams. Please visit us sometime soon. We'd love to meet you both again." At the bottom of the note was a small card offering a private tour of the Tesla showroom for him and his daughter, completely free of charge. He stared at the note for a long time, unable to believe what he was reading. He smiled quietly, then folded it carefully and placed it in his wallet. He didn't tell Lily right away. He wanted it to be his surprise for her this time. Over the next few days, something magical happened. The story of the little girl who walked into the Tesla showroom began to spread. One of the employees had shared it online, and soon, people from all over were leaving comments, calling it one of the most heartwarming stories they'd ever heard. They wrote about how it reminded them of their own families, of love that didn't need money to shine. But Lily didn't know any of that yet. She only knew that her dad was happier than she had seen him in a long time. Every morning before work, he wore that same cap and carried the mug in his hand. And each time he looked at her, he smiled with quiet pride, knowing that the greatest gift he ever received wasn't inside the box. It was the love that had brought it to him. And deep down, she knew it too. A few days passed since Lily gave her father the birthday gift, but the joy in their little home didn't fade. Every morning before work, her father wore the black Tesla cap proudly. He'd tilt it slightly in the mirror, grin, and say, "How do I look, kiddo?" And Lily would always laugh and answer, "Like you're ready to drive into the future." The mug had become his favorite too. He used it every day, sipping his coffee before heading out to the garage. It wasn't just a mug anymore. It was a reminder of his daughter's love. Every time he saw the Tesla logo printed on it, it made him think about her courage, her heart, and the lengths she went just to make him smile. One evening, as he was cleaning up after dinner, he noticed Lily sitting at the table sketching something in her notebook. She was drawing a small car with a big red T on the front. "What are you working on there?" he asked, drying his hands with a towel. She looked up with a shy smile. "I'm drawing your dream car," she said. "One day you'll have one, and when you drive it, I'll sit right beside you." He chuckled softly, walking over to ruffle her hair. "That sounds like a plan," he said. "But I think I've already got everything I want right here." She giggled but didn't look up from her drawing. "You always say that." "And I'll keep saying it," he said with a wink. That night, after Lily went to bed, he took out his wallet and unfolded the red envelope he had kept hidden. He read the note again, the one from the Tesla staff, inviting them for a private visit to the showroom. He smiled quietly to himself. He still hadn't told Lily about it. He wanted it to be his turn to surprise her now. A week later, on a bright Saturday morning, he told Lily to get ready. "We're going somewhere special today," he said. She tilted her head. "Where?" "You'll see," he said with a grin. She rushed to her room, excited, not knowing what was ahead. When they got in the old pickup truck, she noticed he was wearing his Tesla cap again. She smiled, assuming maybe they were going for a drive or a picnic. The road stretched long ahead of them, and she watched trees blur past as the truck hummed along. After almost an hour, she saw something familiar in the distance, the large glass building with the glowing red logo. Her eyes widened. "Wait, are we going to the Tesla showroom?" He nodded, pretending to look serious. "Seems like it," he said. She gasped. "But how?" He handed her the note from his wallet. Her eyes scanned it slowly, her mouth falling open as she read. They invited us? She said softly. He nodded. Looks like your little trip made quite an impression. Lily could hardly sit still after that. Her face lit up with excitement, and she kept pointing out every Tesla car they saw along the way. Look, Dad, that's the one from the picture in the showroom, she said, bouncing in her seat. When they finally arrived, a small group of staff members stood at the entrance waiting for them. The same man who had helped Lily before walked forward with a big smile. Welcome back, Lily, he said warmly. She froze for a second, surprised that he remembered her. You remember me? Of course, he said. How could we forget the bravest customer we've ever had? Her father looked at her in surprise. So this is the man who helped you? She nodded proudly. Yes, he's the one who found the perfect cap for you. The man shook her father's hand. You've raised a very special young lady, sir. Everyone here was touched by what she did. They led them inside, and this time the showroom felt even brighter than before. One of the employees handed Lily a name tag that read Special Guest, and another gave her father one that said, Honored Dad. The gesture made both of them laugh. They were shown around the showroom, the cars, the design room, and even the charging stations. The guide explained how the electric engines worked, how the batteries were built, and how each car was made to last. Her father listened with deep interest, asking questions and nodding as if he was learning about something sacred. At one point, they reached a bright red Tesla parked near the front. Would you like to sit inside? One of the employees asked. Her father hesitated for a moment, but Lily pushed his hand gently. Go on, Dad, try it. He smiled nervously and stepped inside. The soft leather seats, the giant touchscreen, the faint new car smell, everything felt unreal. He ran his hand along the steering wheel and exhaled slowly, shaking his head in disbelief. This is something else, he said quietly. I've fixed cars all my life, but this feels like magic. Lily leaned through the open door and whispered, You look perfect in it. The staff around them smiled, touched by her words. One of them asked, Would you like to take it for a short drive? Her father blinked, startled. Are you serious? Completely, the man said. We've cleared it for you. Consider it part of the tour. He turned to Lily, still unsure. You think I should? She nodded eagerly. Of course. You've been talking about this forever. So he did. They both buckled up and the car rolled out of the showroom quietly, so smooth that it felt like it was floating. Lily couldn't stop laughing. It's so quiet. It doesn't even sound like it's on, she said, looking around. Her father smiled, gripping the steering wheel gently. That's the beauty of it. No noise, no smoke, just peace. They drove through the nearby streets, the windows down, the wind brushing their faces. For the first time in a long while, he felt completely free. Like a man who had touched a dream he thought he could never reach. He looked over at Lily and said softly, You made this happen, you know that? She smiled up at him. No, you did. I just believed in you. When they returned to the showroom, the staff clapped and cheered quietly. They took photos with the two of them standing beside the car. Lily held her dad's hand proudly, her smile wide and genuine. Before they left, the manager came forward with a small envelope. We want to give you something, she said. Inside was a letter and a printed photo from earlier, the two of them standing by the red Tesla. On the back of the photo was a message. Dreams don't always have to stay dreams. Sometimes they just need love to find their way. Her father stared at the picture for a long time. This is going on our wall, he said softly. On their way home, neither of them spoke much. The silence wasn't awkward and it was peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that comes when your heart feels too full for words. When they reached home, Lily placed the photo on the living room wall right above the shelf where her father kept his tools. Every time he walked by, he looked at it and smiled. Over the next few weeks, their story continued to spread online. People shared it everywhere. A little girl who went to buy her father a Tesla gift, and a company that turned her love into something unforgettable. News reporters started calling it the story of the little dreamer. One evening, while they were having dinner, the phone rang. Her father picked it up and his eyes went wide as he listened. When he hung up, Lily asked quickly, Who was it? He smiled, still looking a little stunned. It was Tesla headquarters, he said slowly. They heard about our story. They want to invite us to visit their factory next month. Lily dropped her fork, her eyes wide. The factory? Where they make all the cars, he nodded. That's the one. She jumped up and hugged him tightly. This is amazing, she shouted. You're finally going to see where your dream cars are made. He hugged her back, laughing softly. No, he said. We're going to see it, together. That night, as they sat on the porch watching the stars, her father looked up at the sky and said, Funny how life works, isn't it? One small act of love can open doors you never imagined. Lily leaned her head on his shoulder. I think love makes everything possible, she whispered. He smiled, resting his arm around her. You're probably right. The night breeze carried their laughter softly into the air. And though their lives hadn't changed in riches or fame, something inside them had a quiet reminder that dreams, no matter how small, can grow into miracles when they come from the heart. The following few weeks were filled with excitement in Lily and her father's home. Every evening after dinner, they talked about their upcoming trip to the Tesla factory. For her father, it felt unreal. He had spent years fixing old cars covered in oil and sweat, and now he was being invited to visit one of the most advanced car factories in the world. He tried to hide how excited he was, but Lily could see it. He kept reading about Tesla, watching videos, learning about how the cars were made, and even drawing small sketches of what the factory might look like. Sometimes she would peek at his notebook and giggle. You're like a kid waiting for a field trip, she teased. He laughed softly. Well, I guess dreams make everyone feel young again. The night before the trip, they packed their bags carefully. Lily folded her best dress and placed it next to her small notebook, while her father packed his cleanest work shirt and, of course, his black Tesla cap. He said he wouldn't go anywhere without it. When morning came, the sky was clear and bright. They took an early train that ran straight to the city where the factory was located. The view outside the window was beautiful, green fields stretching far into the distance, birds gliding above them and the hum of the train filling the quiet. Lily sat by the window, resting her chin on her hands. Do you think we'll see them building a real car? She asked. Her father smiled. Maybe we will. You never know what surprises are waiting. When they arrived, a driver holding a sign with their names on it was waiting at the station. He welcomed them kindly and drove them to the Tesla factory, which stood tall and wide like a giant glass city. The building gleamed under the sunlight, and Lily couldn't stop staring. It's huge, she whispered as the car stopped near the main entrance. Her father nodded, his voice soft with amazement. It's even bigger than I imagined. As they walked inside, a group of staff members greeted them with warm smiles. One of them said, Welcome to Tesla. We've been waiting for you. They handed both of them visitor badges and guided them through the security gate. The moment they entered, the air changed. The sound of quiet machines, the smell of metal and fresh paint, the sight of robotic arms moving gracefully, it all felt like stepping into the future. Lily's eyes sparkled. It's like a movie, she said. Their guide, a friendly engineer named Mr. Hayes, explained everything in simple words. He showed them how the aluminum frames were molded, how the batteries were assembled, and how each car went through a line of inspection before it was ready to drive. Her father listened closely, asking questions now and then. It was clear that he understood much more than the average visitor. At one point, the engineer turned to him and said, You know your stuff. You're not just any visitor, are you? Her father chuckled modestly. I've been fixing cars most of my life, he said. But I've never seen anything quite like this. The engineer smiled. You remind me of the people who started this company, curious, hardworking, and full of heart. That simple compliment stayed with him. He didn't say anything, but Lily could tell those words meant more to him than any gift. As they continued the tour, they reached a large viewing area where brand new cars were being tested. One of the test drivers approached them with a grin. Would you like to see how we test them? He asked. Her father looked hesitant. Can we? Of course, the driver said. You're our guests. They watched as a car sped down the test track silently, gliding like a whisper. When it stopped, the driver invited them closer. Hop in, he said with a smile. Let's give you the full experience. Lily climbed in beside her father, her hands gripping the seat with excitement. The car accelerated smoothly, the landscape outside turning into a blur. She couldn't stop laughing. It feels like flying, she shouted over the wind. Her father just smiled, his eyes glistening. It's everything I thought it would be. he whispered. When the ride ended, they both thanked the driver. Lily's cheeks were red from smiling so much. That was amazing, she said. Later, they were taken to a large lounge where lunch had been prepared for them. The table was neatly set, and in the middle lay a small card that read, "To our special guests, a reminder that dreams can begin anywhere." They ate together, sharing stories with the staff about their small town, their daily life, and how it all started with a little girl walking into a showroom with her savings. Everyone listened with warm smiles, some even with tears in their eyes. After lunch, Mr. Hayes brought them to one last room, a place where newly finished cars were displayed before delivery. The room was bright and silent, and in the center stood a silver Tesla with a small red ribbon tied to the mirror. "This car," Mr. Hayes said, "is one of our newest models, and today it's yours to test drive for the rest of the day." Lily gasped, her mouth open wide. "For real?" He nodded with a grin. "Yes, we want you both to enjoy it. Go wherever you want, take your time, and make some memories." Her father was speechless. He looked at the car, then at Lily, then back at the staff. I don't know what to say." Mr. Hayes smiled. "Just say thank you by doing what you've already done. Love your daughter the way you do." Her father smiled, trying to hold back tears. "That's the easiest promise I can make." They spent the rest of the afternoon driving through quiet roads and open fields near the factory. The sun was warm, the sky was blue, and every turn of the wheel felt like a small piece of a dream coming true. Lily rolled down the window and let the wind hit her face. "Dad," she said softly, "you're driving a Tesla." He laughed, still in disbelief. "And it feels incredible." They stopped near a small park where they sat under a tree eating ice cream they bought from a nearby stand. The car gleamed in the sunlight behind them. Her father looked at her and said, "You know, none of this would have happened if it weren't for you. You changed everything," she smiled shyly. "I just wanted to make you happy." "You did," he said. "More than you know." They stayed there until the sun began to set, the golden light spilling across the fields. As they drove back to return the car, her father couldn't stop glancing at the rear-view mirror as if trying to capture every last moment. When they reached the factory, the staff was waiting for them again. Everyone clapped as they stepped out of the car. One of the managers came forward with a small black box. "We want you to have this," he said. Inside the box was a miniature Tesla car, perfectly crafted, with a silver plate on the base that read, "To the father who inspired us and the daughter who reminded us what love looks like." Her father took a deep breath, holding the box carefully. "This is the best day of my life," he said quietly. The manager smiled. "You deserve it." That night they took the train home again, tired but happy. Lily fell asleep with her head on her father's shoulder, holding the miniature car in her lap. He looked down at her, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and whispered, "Thank you, kiddo." When they reached home, he placed the small car beside the photo they had hung earlier. Now there were two memories sitting side by side, one of a dream and one of the day it came true. In the days that followed, their story spread even further. People around the world shared it online, how a young girl's act of love had led to something beautiful. It wasn't just about cars anymore. It was about kindness, family, and how small hearts can spark big changes. Her father went back to his repair shop, still the same hard-working man, but now with a light in his eyes that everyone noticed. Customers would often point to his cap and ask about the story, and he'd smile proudly. "It's not about the car," he'd say. "It's about a girl who taught me what dreams are made of." And every time he said it, he'd glance at the photo on the wall in his shop, the one of him and Lily standing beside the red Tesla, smiling like they had captured a piece of happiness that would never fade. That picture, that story, and that love became his daily reminder that miracles don't always come from luck or money. Sometimes they begin with something as simple as a daughter's wish to make her father smile. A few months passed since that unforgettable visit to the Tesla factory, yet the memory stayed fresh in their hearts like it had happened just yesterday. The framed photo of Lily and her father standing beside the red Tesla had become the most precious thing in their home. Every time her father looked at it, he couldn't help but smile. The repair shop was busier than ever. People from nearby towns came not only for car repairs, but also to meet the man whose story had gone viral. Some came with small gifts, others just to shake his hand. He was still humble, still the same kind man who worked from morning till sunset. But now his heart carried something lighter, something hopeful. Lily, too, noticed a change in him. He laughed more often. He hummed songs while fixing engines. He even started teaching her small things about cars, like how to check the oil or change a tire. "You never know," he said with a wink. "Maybe one day you'll build one of your own." Sometimes when the evening came, they would sit on the porch, sharing tea, talking about that day at the factory. "Do you remember the car we drove?" Lily would ask with a grin. "How could I forget?" he'd reply. It was like driving the future. Their bond had always been strong, but after that experience it became something unshakable. They weren't just father and daughter anymore. They were teammates in a dream that started small, but had grown into something big. One chilly morning, as her father unlocked the shop door, he noticed an envelope slipped under the mat. It had the Tesla logo on it. Surprised, he opened it right there. Inside was a short letter and 2 tickets. The letter read, "We're hosting a community event for innovators and dreamers. We'd love for you and Lily to join us as our special guests. Bring your story and bring your heart." He stared at the paper for a while, trying to make sense of it. When Lily came running from the house, he held up the letter and grinned. "Looks like we're going back." This time the trip felt different. There was no nervousness, no fear, just excitement. They both knew it wasn't just about visiting a factory anymore. It was about sharing something they had built together, a story of love and belief. The event was held in a large auditorium near the Tesla headquarters. There were people from all over the world, engineers, designers, young students, and even other families. On the stage stood a row of speakers, each sharing their own stories of inspiration and innovation. When it was their turn, her father looked nervous again. He wasn't used to standing in front of a crowd. Lily gently squeezed his hand and whispered, "Just talk like you talk to me." He took a deep breath and stepped forward. The lights were bright and the audience was silent, waiting. He looked down at his daughter sitting in the front row and smiled. "I'm not a rich man," he began slowly. "I fix cars in a small shop. I've spent most of my life trying to make old things work again. But one day something new walked into my life, and my daughter with an idea I couldn't believe." A few people chuckled softly. He went on, "She came into a Tesla showroom all by herself, trying to buy me a birthday gift. She didn't have much money, but she had something even better. Heart." His voice cracked a little and he paused. The audience leaned in closer. "She taught me that dreams don't have a price tag. It's not about money or luck. It's about love. It's about someone believing in you when you stop believing in yourself." The room was completely quiet. Some people wiped their eyes. He ended by saying, "That day at the factory changed my life, but not because of the cars or the technology. It changed me because I realized that the biggest power in this world isn't in machines. It's in people. It's in kindness and family and faith." When he stepped back, the crowd stood up and applauded. Lily ran up and hugged him tightly, her small arms wrapping around his waist. "You did it, Dad," she whispered. He smiled, whispering back, "No, we did." After the event, several people came to meet them. Some shared their own stories. Others said how their bond reminded them of their own families. A journalist even asked for an interview, saying, "People need to hear stories like yours. The world needs reminders that kindness still exists." Her father wasn't used to the attention, but Lily handled it with surprising grace. She smiled, answered questions, and even told the reporter, "I just wanted my dad to know how proud I am of him." The article that followed became one of the most read stories online that month. But for them, the fame didn't matter. What mattered was the message, that love and determination can take ordinary people to extraordinary places. Life went on, but now it felt a little more meaningful. The repair shop became more than just a place to fix cars. It became a small community spot where people came to talk, learn, and share stories. Her father started hosting free weekend workshops, teaching young kids about engines, safety, and the importance of patience. Machines can be complicated, he'd tell them, but people are what make them work. Lily loved helping out. She painted a small wooden sign that read Dream Garage, and they hung it right above the door. It became their little symbol of hope. One weekend, as they were closing the shop, a shiny black Tesla pulled up outside. A man stepped out dressed neatly, holding a small folder. He smiled and introduced himself as a regional representative from Tesla. We've been keeping an eye on your story, he said kindly. And we have a proposal. Her father raised an eyebrow. A proposal? Yes, the man said. Tesla is starting a new community program to train young technicians in electric car maintenance. We'd like you to lead a local branch here. You have the heart and experience we need, and a story that inspires.